Welcome to Threads of Enlightenment, a podcast devoted to helping you overcome challenges in your life that prevent you from becoming the best version of yourself. Each episode features interviews with people from all walks of life about their journey of self-development and the principles they utilize to overcome their fears to achieve their desired outcome. Ready to be enlightened? Here's your host, Ken Primus.
Welcome to another episode of Threads of Enlightenment, guys. As usual, I like to take our time right here and honor our guests because I know for a fact that they're coming with a couple of things that I deem very expensive, their time. Emmanuel is coming and sharing some of this precious commodity with us that 24 hours has been afforded to everyone. How we respect and honor time, man, I'm telling you, will expose your sins, as they say. The other is the journey. The journey housed power. It created Emmanuel, and it deposited a couple of things inside of him that we want access to. What are those things? That's wisdom, insight, understanding, all of those things that it has deposited, and we want to bring some of it out. Why? Because we want to become better human spirits while we're here on this planet. Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming to Threads of Enlightenment.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Wonderful to be on the show.
It's an honor to have you, sir. As I mentioned to you, the question that we always pose to our guests is, how do you serve mankind? What is it that you, and I told them, Emmanuel, every one of us didn't come here for a job. You came here to locate your assignment. What is your assignment while you're here on this planet?
So obviously, well, not obviously, but as you can tell, I'm a martial art teacher. But you start to transcend things in your life. It was not like the first thing I did in my life, but it's sometimes you can tell a person by what they didn't have in life. So it's like a parent that didn't have safety or food. What do they try to give their kids? Safety and food, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually what they try to provide, what they didn't have. My younger years, when I was going through school, were not very good. I didn't have good teachers. I had a few, but not many. And I remember as I grew up, I go, man, I'd love to give that to people, a good teacher, somebody that can get to understand them. You can't teach a group. You can teach individual people. I mean, you can somewhat teach a group, but people are people, right? They learn in different ways and they have different interests, right? It might be similar topics, but different interests. So you see it common in martial arts. Some people come for self-defense, but that's actually not the main reason people come. And there's lots of research on this. You know, it's usually just to lose some weight. That's the sad reality, right? It's like, it's really, when you see the stats, you're like, wow, like you would never have thought. And then high up there is just social too, is people just want to hang out. And then it's like third or fourth down the list is self-defense, right? And a lot of arts and self-defense that will talk about self-defense, they usually are the ones that are more into the entertainment version of it, right? Like not necessarily the holistic view of it, right? So martial arts has been around a long time, and I came across martial arts because I was heavily bullied. By the time when I got into high school, I was like, I'm only 5'8". I'm not a big dude. And my high school, there were some big guys, man. And I said, okay, I got to learn how to fight here. Otherwise, just in case I come across, because it becomes real in high school, right? Because you're with a bunch of people you don't know, and you're like, oh. And I didn't go to a bad school, but there were some, if you were you're a young man at 14 and you're in school with kids that are 18 and 19. So there's a big difference there, right? They're much bigger, they're more mature. So I decided to take on the journey of martial arts, and that was back in 1984. So that puts that into perspective. So I've been doing martial arts since 1984 in one way, shape, or form, all kinds of martial arts, and watching the journey of martial arts change from, martial arts to, boxing, to wrestling, to MMA, to the different styles that have kind of emerged through life has been a wonderful journey, watching different people train in different ways and watching their expressions of the art. Within that realm, there's obviously three versions. There's your physical, there's the psychological, and then there's spiritual. You can study them at all levels. It's when you're ready. Some people are ready from a younger age. Some people are ready at a later age, right? So what you're seeing when you look at a person work is the maturity level of that person, where they are in their journey, right?
Yeah.
We can't be doing everything in life. I mean, like there's a time for tight jeans and
Yeah.
there's a
Yeah.
time for like there's like we see it in fashion, right? Like there's a time for everything, right? And when you do something long enough, you get bored and you're like, okay, what's next? It's not like hopping styles. It's a deeper perspective, right? It's just a deeper perspective. It's like, okay, great, you graduated with a degree in something, but what are you doing with that thing? Like, what are we doing? Like, you have a martial arts skill. So I did it because I didn't want to be bullied, right? Muhammad Ali did it because he got his bike stolen. He
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm going to take up boxing. I want to find the guy who stole my bike and beat him up. But look what he did with boxing. He
Yeah.
transcended the sport. It was
Yeah.
much bigger, right? He didn't do this consciously. He just kept saying, okay, what more can I do than beat up another man? It didn't, at some point, it didn't, you know,
Yeah.
it wasn't enough for him. So for all of us, it's the same thing. When you talk about enlightenment, I don't think people sit down and say, I want to be enlightened. I think they put themselves in a place and it kind of comes to them, right? After a while, you're like, people that want to fight you or are angry with you, they need to be understood? Maybe. So maybe when you understand them, you see things differently now.
Yeah. I
And
think it was Sun Tzu that
that,
talks about that, fighting your
yeah,
enemy without even hitting, without touching that individual. And that's,
that's the majority. Yeah,
yeah.
I would say I've had at least three different people come into Fight Club, which is my school in Toronto,
Yeah.
and they're just, not challenging me, but they're not well. They were mentally ill. They started to say things that weren't appropriate and do things that weren't appropriate. And I simply just asked them to leave,
Yeah.
and they did.
Yeah.
I didn't have to touch them.
Yeah.
It's these are not people that are something worth fighting for. This is something worth understanding and kind of giving a care about them. So you do. And that's a skill set that you need to have. It's not everybody you fight everybody. Otherwise, that's all you're going to do all your life is just fight people.
Yeah.
You're never going to take the time to understand them and maybe their perspective, right? So this is a maturity of a person. And you talked about wisdom, right? That's the most important thing. But it comes, like what I see nowadays is a lot of people looking for knowledge. They want lots of knowledge and they're
Mm-hmm.
actually getting high on the knowledge. But knowledge is it's too much. Like you're drowning in knowledge. If you don't apply it, if you don't take the time to cultivate it, it'll never become wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
It'll never. Wisdom is you get some knowledge and you template it against your life and see if that makes any sense. And if it does, then it becomes wisdom because you believe it.
Yeah.
It's not it's like somebody told me something. It's a time when you take the knowledge. So I come to martial arts, I study about stuff and then I get lots of knowledge. And then I go into the work world and I realize this knowledge I templated against my family, against work, against my friends, against life and our society. And I find where this fits in,
Yeah. It
right?
tells
So
it
go
tells
ahead.
us, Emmanuel, it says, in order to get understanding, you have
Mm-hmm.
to learn what to do with that knowledge, and you have to
100%.
application of knowledge. I mean, you could be full of stuff and they say you're full of shit, but if you could be full of knowledge, but you don't have the understanding or the way by which you can apply that knowledge that you have, you really don't, you know, like I said, what's that all about? And so we know we have a lot
It's,
of those folks that are puffed up, if you will, with
yeah,
knowledge and have
yeah.
no skill set as the application of knowledge.
You can see it because they're so excited to show you.
Yeah,
Like they just want to show you this knowledge. It's a form of, it's like watching people, you go to their house, they have lots of books. They're just trying to show you, look how much I read.
yeah,
That's really what it is, a show of something. And it's fine. But at one point it's not fine. You don't need a lot of knowledge. You just need some knowledge that you believe in. So a lot of people collecting knowledge, but like they collect books, but if you ask them if they read them, they're just there. Or
yeah,
maybe they read them a long time ago, but what did they remember? Not too much, right?
yeah.
So I'm much more into kind of following this for people that are listening to this. But if you're some stuff you wanna, like if I could leave you with this idea for this podcast, what could I share with you today that might serve all your listeners and you as well in the months to come? And nothing will serve you much today with our conversation. You'll hear stuff.
Yeah.
But what could I tell you that if you listened to and applied could change you in 3 months or 6 months? Nothing happens quick. If you want permanent change, you got to be patient.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, otherwise, we see it in the gym all the time. People can go and lose 10 pounds right away, but it usually comes back.
Mhm.
It's the person that loses a pound a month that will keep it off forever. That's the difference. Like, so these subtle changes that people can do that will have huge impacts down the road. And the first one I tell everybody, and martial arts teaches this, is observation. Observe. And observe like you would a young child. Like, if you look at a young child, observe. Like, I'm introduced to, I have a kids program at the Fight Club, and it's a great program. And believe me,
Yeah.
with a name like Fight Club, I never thought I would be teaching kids. But what happened was my students, big rough and tumble guys, were going home showing their kids what they
Yeah.
learned from me, and they loved it. And
Yeah.
I said, well, let me try. And it worked out really well. Kids study all the stuff the adults study in a different way, but they study it. And
Yeah.
it's been a wonderful program. But you'll get little Johnny, who's 8 years old, coming in to train with me. But then his, 2-year-old brother comes in. Now, that 2-year-old kid has no idea who I am. So he's
Yeah.
just looking at me. And
Yeah.
he's not trying to figure out, he's just observing me.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to make a gauge, who are you? Like, in many cases, what we call observation is already a judgment of something,
Yeah.
right? It's already a judgment. We can't just observe something. We already have a filter of some sort. And you were talking about this, how society programs us. We need to study how to observe things just for observation's sake. And you can do that by going to a forest. You can do that by going to a park, just observing a tree, observing a bird. You didn't sit there and say, I wonder, you just observe it. Just look at how it moves, The other day I was at a park and I watched this bird on a branch, and the branch broke. And I was watching the bird as the branch broke, and the bird didn't think. He just opened his wings and flew away.
Yeah.
He didn't stress. He didn't wonder if he had the skill set. He
Yeah.
opened his wings and he flew.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow, how many of us have our skills like that? Like, they're not a burden. It's something we do when we need it. When we
Mhm.
fall, there they are. It has to be there right away. We
Yeah.
don't have time to prepare. It's not like, okay, give me a second. I gotta stretch out and
Yeah. Yeah.
practice. I need to be ready now. Nobody's gonna announce itself. Nobody's gonna say, I'm coming. It's not Hollywood. This is real life.
Yeah.
It's a surprise. It's an ambush. And I'm not talking about just like the physical act of fighting. It's just life. It's
Life,
like
man.
I'm driving my car and
Yeah.
somebody cuts me off and it's got road rage. I didn't have a chance to prepare for this. I'm listening to my favorite song and that person's angry. So the whole idea first is to observe really well, and you can do that washing the dishes, you can do that walking in the park, you can do that in a mall. Doesn't matter where you are, just observe and cultivate that ability. How do people walk? How do they talk? How do they use their hands? Like, what's their rate of speech?
Yeah.
What's their body look like? Is it tensed up, or how do they carry themselves? Things like observation skills, having strong observation skills will teach you way more than you could imagine. Now, how did I learn this? A lot of the teachers I had in Toronto, when they first came, they didn't speak English very well.
Yeah.
It was not their first language. So I was learning by watching. I had to watch and observe really well. And I realized I never did that in past arts. In
Mhm.
past arts, because my teacher spoke pretty good English, I just listened to them. And I realized I wasn't watching them. I was listening, not watching.
Yeah.
But watching is way better communicator to us, right?
Yeah.
What people can say, but when you watch, you're like, you're not doing the
Yeah.
same thing you're saying, right?
Yeah.
So first observation, and then you want to be a type of a person that's soaked, dripping, foundationally soaked in rationality. You want to be a person of high rationality. Be rational, guys. Like, be rational.
Mhm.
When somebody is drunk, they're not themselves. Be
Yeah.
rational. You don't take the words of an angry person. A rational person would say a person's angry doesn't know what they're saying.
Mhm.
They're emotional. People that are emotional, whether it's through sadness, through anger, so that's a rational thing to say. Like, be that is a lost thing. If you go back to like ancient Greeks and the philosophers in those times, they were people of high rationality.
Yeah.
And you look at all our legal system, it's based on be rational about this. Come on, be
Yeah.
rational, right? Is it, if we have to have that as a person. We have to put that as a strength of ours.
Yeah.
That's not to say that we can't be irrational. Of course you can be irrational, but try to be a rational person at the core. Like that's a good foundation, right? Most people try to be logical. Like a lot of things make sense. Like what's that old phrase of knowledge is knowing that a tomato is a fruit,
Yeah.
but wisdom is knowing not to put it in a fruit salad. Like that. It's like that, right? You don't put it in a fruit salad. Like there's a lot of stuff that knowledge makes sense like this, but it doesn't work. It's the old adage that was told to most people, do you want to be happy or do you want to be right? That's wisdom.
Yeah.
Like you
That's
see,
true.
like that's like, but so you need to be a rational person. You can't win every argument. You can't, you have to concede somewhere. Whereas, nobody wants to be around that kind of a person,
Yeah.
right?
The
Like
Stoics
how
talked about
many,
that, though.
the Stoics talked about it. Exactly.
Yeah, all of them, every single one of them. When
Every single,
you read their data, the information that they put out, every single one of them, from different walks of life, from the generals to the philosophers to everyone, Emmanuel, are talking about that very same thing that you're talking about, and it's really important, I think, to get an understanding of what those of you that are listening to us that are get an understanding of what Emmanuel is talking about is really, really one of the strongest principles out there to govern the self with. And he talked about many different things. Emmanuel, I always invite my audience because, like you said, I said, learn to transmute or change to become one that hears. A listener will turn to another podcast, but when you have someone hearing is when they're going back in and listening a couple of times because they're listening with a different set of ears to extract the things that are necessary to change their life and pay attention because of, I mean, Manuel is talking, but if you are hearing what he says, it'll change your life. I'm telling you guys. One of the things that you had mentioned on the onset, Emmanuel, about I call it discipleship. Learn to become a disciple in your life. But disciples are not those that are rushing to get it, instantaneously. A disciple is there to question, to dig deep, to question the question, and the answer that is given, question the answer. Because why? You want to get a full perspective as to the deepness of that question coming from that comment coming from that guide, that teacher. So become inquisitive to the point where you are a disciple. You're hunting treasures. Every conversation that you're having with that individual, that mentor, you're hunting treasures, and go find them with them because they're full of it. We call those, as Emmanuel said, they're wisdom, knowledge, insights, some insights that will change your life. It's just a few words that are tied together. But if you're not paying attention and you're not hearing, you'll miss it. And so we want to invite you guys to come along in the journey. But I know you just tuned in, but become a hearer so that you can have it. Emmanuel, I want to talk to you about something you mentioned in the family. When you were young, you were bullied and you were lacking teachers. And I want to tie that together. Here you were a young man being bullied and in school and so forth. How did the bullying got you to seek out data? How can I protect self? How can I do that? And as you got
so
involved in the martial arts, number one, Emmanuel, what did it do to you? Because I know what we go in for, but when we are with a real teacher, the changes begin. When you got there, what were some of those reasons that you began to see why you were a bully, how to respond to that, all of those type things as you began to drink up of the knowledge of martial arts?
So the first thing that comes of it, you realize that, for at least in my experience in Toronto, and I think it happens around the world the same, right? Teachers lack the courage to stand up. They know who's bullying. They're not stupid. They know. They know the bullies. They're scared to confront that person. They're trying to be correct about it. I remember all the teachers and principals at my school trying to figure out stuff. I'm like, what are you trying to figure out? This guy's a bully. There's nothing to
Yeah.
figure out. And while you're figuring out, I'm the one facing the person.
Yeah.
Like nobody sat there and said, "Hey, this guy's not." They're trying. They were always. It was like nothing new in life. The person that does the right thing, it's always hard to
Yeah.
confront the person. To put them on the line is always hard. I'm not saying you have to humiliate them, but you know who the bullies are. Of course they know. The police know where the criminals are. They're not
Mm-hmm.
stupid.
Yeah.
They're just hands are tied because they can't go do it. Everybody knows. I hate when people say this. It's like it drives me nuts. Like, guys, you don't think the police officer knows where the bad guys are? You don't think he knows? Like, he sees them. They arrest them. They put them in the court. They see the loopholes. Like they see everything. You don't think the doctors see how people in our society screw themselves up?
Mm-hmm.
Teachers see how things go wrong in school. So first thing I realized is when it dawned on me that nobody was going to come and help me, I had to get myself out of this thing. I had to do something. And that's not a sad thing. That's a reality for all people. When you're confronted, I finally got fed up. I'm done with this. I'm done with this because what a bully does is he doesn't necessarily hurt you. Not all bullies physically. They can be. I had that. I had physical, but it was also they take away your potential,
Mm-hmm.
stuff that you'll never see, right? It's like people that are, those people that are bad guys or douches, in life, just those guys that I'll step over anybody to get ahead. They always want to talk about how much they've accomplished or how much money they've made. But what they never see is the potential that never came their way because people saw that they were not nice people and they just avoided them. So they
Yeah.
never knew the opportunities. They never saw the manager that had a job but said, I'm not going to hire that guy. He's not nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or he's not a good person. So you never even saw that opportunity. When I was my bully, so I lived the school that I went to, the classes were in like a square. So you had, think of a building that was square and you had four hallways, right?
Yeah.
Well, the hallway that the bullies used to hang out with was by the gym, by the art class, by the English rooms. That's where it was. Well, guess what? Guess what subjects I was bad at? I was not very physically fit. I was not very good in English.
Yeah.
This area I avoided. So hence I didn't go to those classes much. I didn't enjoy it. I was nervous. I couldn't learn. But all the areas where they weren't, I was good at.
Yeah.
It was amazing to watch. And then in my entire public school experience, I probably had two good teachers. One was early on that I don't remember as much as like grade 2 or something.
Yeah.
But then I had a really good teacher in grade 7, and I wrote about all this stuff. Like I wrote a book, and I'll send you the book, by the way.
Thank you.
It's going to be on its way. It's called eudaimonia, and it's actually and eudaimonia is a Greek word written by Aristotle, known as the highest human good a person can do. And that was when I read this, I was like, this is really very indicative of my life. It doesn't matter what I do. I want to do the highest human good I can from this thing, right? So if I'm going to be a martial artist, I don't want to be a badass. I want to do the highest human good. If I can beat a person up and make them change their ways to do something proper and not stop being a bully or that's what I want to do. I'm not into, and I had many teachers that many martial art teachers that always say, yeah, anybody touches you, you mess them up and, that's it. They cross the line. That's I'm like, but that's not me. I won't do this. That doesn't do it for me. I want to be happy. If I'm an artist, if I was a musician, I want to play my guitar and be happy. I don't want to be angry. If I'm a martial artist, I want to learn how to fight and be happy. Because if somebody has crossed my path and I am a good person, I shouldn't be worried about anything.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be. Why would I be worried? So to the high school thing, I had a grade 7 teacher because I wasn't good in school, I'll be honest with you. And I wrote this in this book. I was below average in everything. And then something happened in grade 7 that showed me without a doubt that what I lacked was not knowledge or skill, but confidence. I didn't feel people believed in me. And the moment I wrote one good paper, I had one good test. I finally got a C on a test. Finally, I got a C. My parents were so happy. I was happy too, but my parents were so happy. And I realized what an important role the parents play in a child. And when you see as a kid your parent happy, you want to make them happy. I wanted to make my parents happy, but I couldn't. And I wasn't doing good in school. I didn't not want to do that. I just wasn't. And then all of a sudden I got a good mark. And then I said, I want to do that again. And I studied harder and I changed my entire school experience. I finished public school. I finished high school with great marks. I went to university. I graduated from university. That one mark
Yeah.
would change my entire life. It could have happened in grade 4. It could have happened
Yeah.
in grade 3, but it happened in grade 7 because this teacher was the nicest one I had.
Yeah.
He wasn't a great teacher. He was just a nice teacher. He didn't make me feel like I was not good. And
Yeah.
and this is a powerful thing. He provided this enlightenment in me. That's what I love, right?
Yeah.
And I've since bumped into him. He's really, really good guy. Mr. Jen is his name. Great, great guy.
Yeah. I love the
So
story,
the point,
Emmanuel,
yeah,
because I
go
wanted
ahead.
to know where was the genesis for you where you wanted to be your
That's when it happened.
teacher. And
That's when it
that's
happened.
when it is.
That's when
Because
it happened.
there
That's
is
when
a
it happened.
genesis to our stories, if you will. And that's what I was trying to bring out of it. It's something happened to propel you to develop that mindset, because that mindset in grade 7, Emmanuel, is what's guiding you right now as a grown man.
100%. And I see this need more than ever. I see people now like, okay, when I was then, I was maybe bullied. I didn't have a cell phone, I didn't have internet, I didn't have all this stuff. But what I see now, because I was, you're being bullied, you feel you're not smart, you're not doing good in school. You're like, I was depressed, you were sad.
Yeah.
And now what I see is that's all I see people when they're on their phones, they're not happy.
Yeah.
You just see them, they're they're stimulated,
Hmm.
nervous system is jacked, like it's firing, the nerves are firing, and they're not able to sleep good. They have a hard time, everything is just laughing, like they're
Yeah.
just, they're not genuinely happy, like it's just a surface happiness,
Yeah.
right? Like you want to be happy deep down inside, it's like eating like a fresh piece of fruit or something, oh, like, or
Yeah.
some good food. This is just like, it goes deep in your soul, right? Like this is, so a lot of what I do, I use martial arts now to kind of have people access the joy of being a warrior. Like it's a
Yeah.
joy to have people hit your body. Like, you ever watch a basketball player, the guy dunks on the neck, his whole team
Yeah.
gets around him and they just start hitting him. And it's like, there's this joy, like you come to contact, like when hug an old friend, you
Yeah.
didn't think anything bad. You didn't
Yeah.
sit there and go, oh my God, you're like, I had one of my favorite teachers had big burly men walk towards each other and just give each other a massive hug. He goes
Yeah.
for a half hour. To imagine big Russian men and all these big guys walking towards each other from opposite ends of the room. And he goes, I want you to meet in the middle and give each other the biggest hug you can. He just hugs, hugs, hugs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he goes harder, like you haven't seen each other, like a high school friend, like you just scored. And then after a half hour, it got really uncomfortable after
Yeah.
10 minutes. Forget about a half hour. He said, I'd like you to direct this hug now towards the ground. And everybody took people down perfectly.
Yeah.
And he goes, in a half hour, he managed to take angry martial artists to hug each other so deep and take that hug and direct people to the ground.
Yeah.
And I never had experienced that in martial arts. It was always the hard way to take a person down. I'm thinking, wow, this was way more powerful than me trying. So it's such a clear, so he was such a good teacher. He knew how to teach martial arts, not from a fear perspective. And that's
Yes.
how I teach martial arts. I don't teach martial arts. Yes, you can be scared. Lots of things in life are scary, right? But with training, you face them.
Yeah.
You face them, you know?
Powerful lesson, Emmanuel, for a
Huge,
close
huge.
combat engagement. You will never forget how to bring that person down. You planted that within your subconscious mind and everything, for that 30 minutes that you were holding that individual. And when he says bring him down, you had programmed yourself, not even knowing. What a powerful lesson, and powerful, what wisdom he had
Huge, huge.
to be able to do that, man. That is incredible.
What was different and what I think is lost nowadays is people in the martial art world have to really understand there's many different versions of martial arts. Of
Yeah.
course, one aspect of martial arts is fighting. There's no doubt. Of
Yeah.
course. And if you need to fight, you're a police officer, military, you're in that area. Of course,
Yeah.
please do. A doorman, bodyguards, think of all those things. But at one level, most of us don't do that.
Yeah.
Like we want to know how to protect ourselves, but yet we fight every day with ourselves, right? So If you're a nasty fighter, when I see a guy who's like really nasty fighter, tough but nasty, I ask myself, how will he handle his kids? How
Yeah.
will he handle his coworkers? How will he handle his wife? You can be nasty. If you practice nasty, you become nasty.
Yeah.
That's how that works. So if I don't spend most of my time there, right? Maybe I used to, maybe I was younger, getting into some fights, but I don't anymore. And majority of people are good people that have just maybe lost their way or off their medication or something like this,
Yeah.
right? For whatever reason. So they need understanding. So I'm trying to
Hmm.
be understanding. I'm trying to be a good person, but I still want to be strong.
Yeah.
Right. I still can deal with it. So I encourage people to follow something I've been telling most of my students is the problem with something is that person. So the problem with doctors is doctors. The problem
Yeah.
with martial artists is martial artists.
Yeah.
They think alike and they never get outside of it. Right. So for me, I look to all human athletics. It doesn't matter what it is. The Olympics just passed. I loved watching the
Yeah.
Olympics and just say, how can a 100-meter sprinter understand that when he's on the line, get explosive and just
Yeah.
go run as fast as he can. And you watch that person segment by segment, all of a sudden relax to find all this power.
Yeah.
Like you see them, you see them like everything is relaxed as they explode through the 100 meters. Remember, 100 meters is an explosive event.
Explosive race. Yeah.
Weightlifting, that clean and jerk is an explosive event. Yet you can see under slow motion how they're relaxing under the weight
Hmm.
to lift it up.
Yeah.
You can see the movement. Why, as martial artists, we feel that we need to be scared when we fight, or
Yeah.
why we need to be tense when we decide, or we need to be nasty? Why? Those athletes are not. They're just running their race.
Yeah.
So some of your listeners, I'm also competitive archer. So I also do archery.
Yeah.
And what I love about archery, what I love about it is that it punishes anger. It
Yeah.
punishes emotion. Don't be emotional. People are way too emotional when they get involved in situations.
Yeah.
There's Try to remove emotions doesn't serve us at many levels. Yes, we live emotionally, but emotions have to be under our control. And I remember being in the finals of a big competition. I was nervous, of course. And a senior competitor came up to me. He says, "You're feeling nervous, eh?" I said, "Yeah, I'm really nervous." He goes, but this is your reward. I said, "What do you mean my reward?" He goes, "Well, all those people over there are watching you because you made it to the finals."
Yeah.
And he goes, "You earned this. You earned this pressure. This is your reward for being good." And I go, "It's not the medal
Yeah.
that you're going to get.
Yeah.
This is your reward. When
Yeah.
you're a good person, you're going to get pressure. You're going to
Yeah.
feel this pressure. And pressure is two things. It's arousal and expectation. Both are within your control."
Let me talk to you about this because we know the physical part of martial arts, and you mentioned three pieces to that,
Yes.
which is the mental piece and then the spiritual piece. As you're there and you have achieved the physical piece, and this individual comes and said, "Well, there's this mental piece too."
Nobody wants to play that. Nobody wants to study the mental, by the way.
Yeah.
It's very rare because they can't show it off.
Yeah.
You can't show it off. Mental training is something that comes in handy like all the time, but
Yeah.
you can't show it off. You can't flex it like you can.
Yeah.
You can't move. So
So
mental
here's
is
your
very important.
opportunity, Emmanuel. I mean, a sage just walks up to you and he says, "You are out physically, you got your achievement." And now he's going to address the mental part of it. You're nervous, which is a physical, that's normal kind of behavior, what they say. But he comes and he says, "Well, Emmanuel, you earned this. This is a reward." Now that has to start click, 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 click in here to make
It
some
did.
adjustments in here to now apply the mental piece to the process. How did you begin to do that, Emmanuel? And what did you get as a result? What did you receive as your reward when you began to apply the mental aspect to your ability as a trainer, as an individual martial artist?
So when let's back out as a martial artist. Let's use a musician as an example, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a guitar player, when somebody's watching me play my guitar, I don't want them to hear the music, but I also want them to see that I'm playing.
Yeah.
So for all the listeners, we do different styles of martial arts. Everybody does different things and like that. But at one point, it's just a genre. So Shotokan karate is like country music, let's say, or
Yeah.
this is like rock and roll. So that's a genre. Within that genre, there's an artist. There's Johnny Cash,
Yeah.
right? I don't want to hear Johnny Cash unless it's Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
Like, you can sing Johnny Cash, but it's not you.
Yeah.
You can move like Shotokan, but it's not you.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, each one of us has a specific person, and if they have their likes, their dislikes, and they have their experiences, which have given them, so they gave knowledge from outside people, from outside forces, but then their wisdom comes because they have experiences in life. Like, I have my experiences completely different than yours.
Yeah.
So, somebody spiritual, somebody above, a special reason you or all your listeners were born. Some reason. I don't know what it is. Even me. I was born for a very special reason. I don't know. But at the end of the day, it's when I'm doing my martial arts, people need to see that. They need to see who I am. They need to see if they don't see who I am, they never see me.
Yeah. And that's the
They
beauty
never
of
see me, right?
the beauty of Jeet Kune Do with Bruce Lee's personality.
That was him.
Yeah, that was him.
He was sharing who he was, and people got upset. Why? Because he's showing who he is. He's this Asian guy who comes to, and then he loved boxing, and then he loved fencing, and everybody thought it was taboo. But why? He was interested in it because he was happy. That's why people were upset with him, because he was
his
happy.
Personality. We were watching a man create a martial art based on his personality, and that is Jeet Kune Do. That's it.
And people, look how upset people were.
Yeah.
They were upset because it was simple. They were upset because he felt, there were many better fighters, by the way, than he was. He was not, but he had a character. People looked at him and they saw him. They wouldn't see something else. That's what I want all your listeners to understand. You need to train in whatever art you are. That's fine. But be a rational person and say, I need to bring myself into this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're not serving this art. This art is served. Our society is served when each individual person expresses who they are, and we collectively come. And then that art will grow. It won't grow if everybody's following one guy. It won't grow.
That's his philosophy. If you listen to the man, that's his philosophy. Bring you into the martial arts, into the style. That's how he would say to people to be honest, to be true to yourself in your martial arts. So we studied that piece. Talk to us a little about the spiritual piece of the martial arts. I've seen some stuff, Emmanuel, that people tap into that realm. I'll give you an example. There was a martial arts demonstration that we went to in New York, Madison Square Garden one day, and this woman, she's about 4 feet and change, man. She's like this little thing, and she does her meditation, and she was doing a demonstration, and she invited people to come and move her after she did her little meditation and stuff. Emmanuel, they couldn't move her, and I'm watching. I'm watching this. Now, this woman, I saw her walk up to there. She was pretty close to where I was. And I am looking at a human being. I'm looking at this human being, 4 foot and change, doing stuff with the mind and the spiritual aspect of martial arts that very few people get a chance and opportunity to even explore because they're so focused on the physical piece that they don't even know that there's something greater. And you had talked about it. Talk to us a little, Emmanuel, of even within yourself, you have done some things. Sometimes you go, how did I do that? And then you've seen some of these incredible things when people go beyond the physical and the, mental piece.
So there's lots of examples I can give you, but I'll stick to some that are my own personal ones, right? So for a warrior, the closer to death they get, the closer they go to that place, and not willfully. For warriors, this is where they think long time ago. Your country fell. Your women, your children were in trouble. This is not wasn't a joke. You had to fight to protect your country, and it was, and even just there wasn't that long ago. There was a draft. There was a draft in even in Europe. There's still a draft that goes on. People have to go fight. Right? There's no choice. You look what's happening in the Ukraine, and you look what's happening in Israel. The same, everybody has to
same thing.
fight. That's what we forget about that, but it still exists today. So the closer you get to death, the closer the spiritual comes to speak. Now, that's not just for fighting. You see it in older people as well. The closer you get to death, the more they pray a little bit, right? Just the way it works. Now, do we need that? Not really. But so I always ask people, this is, this area of spirituality is big. Now, I'm Greek Orthodox. That's how I was baptized and raised. And that's been at my root since I was a young boy. And it served me very well, and it serves me to this day, right? I don't really care what spirituality people pick, but the fact that you believe that there's something bigger than you is important to me, I think.
I think so.
I think that's important, but I'll let everybody make up their own mind. I've been in 3 life and death situations, fighting in my life, and all of them, my spirituality served me as much as my physical skills.
Yeah.
The teachers I've had also embody these spiritual aspects, also have seen some incredible stuff. Now, the woman that you said you couldn't move her, I've seen stuff like this, and I've experienced hands-on working with teachers like this. And to this day, I have these teachers that are like this, and they're wonderful people. What always struck me, what when you're around a spiritual person, because they can go through danger and it doesn't even stick to them at all. It's crazy. It's crazy to watch. Like, really, you see, I've seen guys in the middle of a big melee at a bar, fights and people crazy, and a guy walked through the middle of the whole thing. Like nobody even saw them because the goodness covered them completely. It's like nobody touched them because it's just something you didn't do. It's just the way they were. So there's this piece inside you that doesn't attract this kind of thing. So it's quite interesting. And, it comes from a deep place. Like, to this day, all my friends will marvel at how I will go to very dangerous animals and have no problem with them at all. Dogs or, and I'll always walk right up to them and just talk to them like a little kid. Recently I came across this massive dog just at a farm, and he didn't know me. He comes at me like, "Who are you?" And I knew the person's property. I just looked at the dog and I just said, "Oh my God, is this the best dog in this area? I've heard there's this really good dog." And you see this big dog just right away become like a little puppy. I was talking to it like a kid. And the same with angry people. I can approach them because I didn't challenge them or aggravate them or frustrate them. A spiritual person is not somebody who tried to change you. You just feel like, I don't know, you feel like, when I was around some of these people, I walk away with this feeling of, I need to be a better person. Like, I realize I'm not a good, like, not, but compared to that person, there's such peace. I want that. I want to be that kind of way. So I understand, and you see on social media that some of these great masters, they get ridiculed like crazy because they think that somehow, listen, I in real situations and life and death situations, you might need to punch somebody and grab them, but that's far and few between. Okay, in a lot of times, I don't care. I mean, I've worked as a bodyguard, I've worked in close protection. In all the crazy situations, I would say 99% require great understanding and patience. That's what you need. There's a very small percentage of people that need to get put down or hurt somehow. These great masters embody some of that. And I get it. Some people take it maybe too far, but at the end of the day, it is a strong skill set, a steady hand. I mean, how many sports teams I played where the captain was not the best player, but he was a steady hand. When the shit hit the fan, when the whole game was on the line, when the chaos of a competition was going on, that guy was a steady hand. And he wasn't, and people understand, like, there is a specific role for a steady hand, right? It's not an illusion. It's these calm masters that develop patience and internal strengths. Man, you want these guys around, right? And in the military, there was, there's the Gurkhas, right? And the Gurkhas are, I mean, they're legendary. The Queen of England, they protect the Queen of England. When you watch these guys, they're 5'4". They're little guys.
All of them.
They're little guys. They're like, they don't look like they can do anything. And they're so calm. They're so calm. And you don't yell at them. You simply tell them what you want done, and they do it. Like, they're not, but nobody goes online and says, oh, these guys are good. Look at them. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
They embody the stillness of a master,
Yeah.
not the flamboyancy of a showman. You don't sit there and go, why are you not entertaining me? These guys they have a mission and they do it, right? So there's this balance of, when I train in martial arts, I always say to myself, there's the physical part. So there's the push-ups. Now I can change my perspective and say, instead of doing a push-up for my muscles, I'm going to do it to relax my mind because I have a lot of stress at work. And then I could change my perspective and say, I want to do push-ups because I want to be a better person. It's just perspective. It really is. It's no different than money. It's no different than time. It's no different. It's you can move it to whatever you want. I can move whatever. And I say to her, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take much. You can gratitude.
Powerful,
What is
powerful thing.
powerful
Powerful,
thing, powerful thing.
powerful.
Like just being grateful that people
Yeah.
showed up. Like it's so powerful, but a lot of people forget about those things. Like that's an internal thing,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, these things that you talk about, spirituality, rather than trying to understand it logically. If somebody just sits down and just quiets themselves and just maybe says thought to something, or prayer or a meditation of some sort, and watch and let that grow and watch the peace. I can't imagine anybody that says they feel bad after going somewhere and just sitting still and maybe saying a prayer or some sort of meditation or some sort of breathing or something like this. How do you feel bad? I don't feel, how can you feel bad? It's a wonderful feeling.
It changes the chemical
100%.
in our body, in our being. When you mentioned some of the greatest tools available to assist anyone to quote unquote
Yes.
mentally and quote unquote spiritually. You have meditation, one of the most powerful tools known to man, where you are able, affords you the ability to become a designer, one that will choose the thought than to react according to the thought. You have a chance to witness, you become the ultimate observer when one begins to meditate. You're looking at your thoughts, you're looking at a behavior, how does it affect you? You have these wonderful conversations that are afforded within the space of meditation, because meditation saved my life, Emmanuel, when I came in, because I was a single dad with my boys and my life is spinning out of control. I was a director of a statewide director of marketing. That is everything. And then I was
Yeah.
introduced to meditation and realized, wait a minute, I controlled my day on that mat. And I controlled my day on that mat. And as I began to get up and began to exercise and become much more, I fell in love with it. As I began to become more in love with it, it served me so much. Breathing, I tell people, breathing is the bridge between the natural and the supernatural. It
100%.
ushers you
That's it.
in and
Breathing is
out.
it. I agree.
So you have to understand that. You have to understand the imagination. You have to understand powerful stuff like gratitude. I am telling you, these are tools that will affect you to a cellular level, that will shift your state. And when you go to someone, I've had people approach me to fight, Emmanuel. And I looked at them and said, man, and I started being grateful about stuff in front of them, and took away. And next thing I know, these guys, I'm like, what are you grateful for? And he looked at me like it was out of my mind, but I kept pressing him on it, and it pulled him out of where he was. And a couple of minutes later, he's hugging me. Hey, thank you, man. I apologize for that. From gratitude, Emmanuel, I stopped in
Yeah,
to tell
those
him,
simple things.
yeah,
Yeah,
what are you
powerful stuff.
grateful for? And he looked at me and wondered whether I lost my mind.
Oh, but when people breathe, and when they like you were saying, meditation, when you breathe, when people develop a practice, a breathing practice, which
Yeah.
is very important, you got to develop the practice.
Yep.
When you develop a practice, it puts people in the right spot. You see,
Yeah.
they start to develop gratitude and empathy and understanding,
Yes. All
and
of
they
the things.
start to realize they're fighting themselves. You're studying, how do I fight with myself? And then when you come to terms how to fight with yourself, you fight with other people perfectly.
Yeah.
But people don't want to fight themselves. They don't want to make the changes in their life but they want to force other people to change. That's what's no good.
That's
So if
another.
somebody wants to fight, especially at my school, you want to fight, no problem, but you have to fight yourselves first. You have a problem, do that. Don't come and pin some guy, but then go home and have problems with your kids and your wife. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you need to work on, not
Yeah.
that. Like, you're avoiding that, and that's giving you, no, do the hard work first on yourself. And when you do that, you don't want to fight anybody else.
Yeah.
You have no fight in you. You don't need this, right? So most people, I find, that really, really want to fight, they haven't learned how to fight good with themselves.
Yeah.
They're angry with themselves.
Yeah.
And
And
take the
that's the
time to
state.
be good with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, be good with yourself. Like, I'm good with myself, and
Yeah.
I don't see the need. So when I fight to build people. That's my number one goal, is to make a person stronger so that when he comes across this situation, he's able to make a good decision. That's all. Make a good decision.
That's martial arts right there.
So it's martial. Make good decisions.
That's martial arts. In all of my years of training and studying, that is martial arts. All you guys that have been
100%.
listening to us have this conversation, we're going to provide everything for you guys to have access to Emmanuel, because you ought to. I actually spend the day looking at all these nice little clips that he had on there, going, I like that. I like that. And I was learning a bunch of stuff from it. So we're going to provide you a link to his book. You guys know how I feel about books. They house power. They house freedom. It's how you approach that book, because that book is loaded from within those walls that we call covers. They are insight, knowledge, and wisdom in there that can free you. But you have to approach that with an expectation that it can and it will. We're going to provide those links. You have to get into Emmanuel's space, because, like I said, I was watching and I learned a whole ton of stuff in just a couple of minutes, and it will serve me, and I know it will serve you. Emmanuel, thank you so much for coming, man, to Threads of Enlightenment.
So welcome,
It's been
man.
good,
It's a
man.
wonderful talking with you, man. Thank you
this
so
has been
much.
good. I enjoyed it,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Threads of Enlightenment with Ken Primus. Hopefully you're now feeling more empowered to overcome the challenges in your life, whatever they may be. Share that inspiration with others by telling them about this podcast, rating it, and of course, remember to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. For more connection, you can find us on Facebook and Instagram by searching for Threads of Enlightenment. Until next time, stay enlightened.